My main goal in my business is to educate people in their skin and how to take care of it properly. This is my third career, so I'm not in this to make a lot of money. I'm in this because I enjoy doing it, and I love meeting people and talking with them about their skincare issues and working with them to get the results that they want. So ever since I can remember, probably since I was maybe 15, 16 years old, I've been interested in skincare. And I think it was my aunt who got me started in it with Estee Lauder actually back then. And she always said, the most important thing you can do is moisturize your skin and stay in the shade. So I always remembered that. And since I could never stay in the shade, I just started using sunscreen pretty early on. It's just been a passion of mine. I used to be a product junkie, but I have learned to scale down, and I always advise my clients to do the same. Just get what works for you. So figuring out what works for you is what I do. Is I analyze your skin and I figure out what works for your skin. And then you're not spending so much time and money and wasting it on these fad products you see online, and coconut this and charcoal that, and the latest and greatest snake oil, we call it, that comes out every month, and you get bombarded with millions of products containing these magic ingredients. And so there's a lot to be said for natural ingredients, but there's also a lot to be said for science and, dare I say, chemicals. Some chemicals are very friendly for our skin, and they help our skin. So after I was in the military, I looked into going back to school for skincare, but at the time, I had a young son and I was not able to do that, so I had to keep working. So flash forward to now, about 4 years ago, I went back to school, and I went to LBWCC, and I started in their aesthetics program, graduated with honors. And then after I received my certificate, I started working for a small business where I was the staff esthetician. I was the only one. And I thought that I needed to know a little bit more about skin, so I decided on my own to start traveling to Atlanta a couple times a month in the beginning, at least 2 times a month, where I would go and stay overnight and take classes there at the Dermal Institute in Atlanta. So I did that for the first year that I was employed, and then the second year I started going maybe once a month for a little while, and then it tapered off as I took all the classes that I could, and I achieved my expert status there in Dermalogica products. I just felt like the basics that I learned in esthetician school, it was great. You learn how to do the massage, you learn how to cleanse the skin right and all that, but you're not learning a lot about the science of skin and the things that you really need to know when you're dealing with people with acne or pigmentation issues. So that's why I wanted to go and get extra education. I specialize in chemical peeling, which is a method of exfoliation of the skin, which is the best way to attain that cell turnover that we all need. When we get older, our cells only turn over at the rate of once every 84 days. That's not enough. It should be once every 30 days. And so with chemical peeling, and I'm not saying you have to have a chemical peel every 30 days. I'm not saying that at all. But if you come into me with a certain issue, say pigmentation is a really big one when it comes to chemical peels, we would have to do a series of maybe 4 to 6, maybe even 8, depending on how deep this pigmentation goes, to get that, turned over and off the face. If you look at it like this, if you spend 20 years in the sun and you've got 20 years worth of pigmentation from sun damage, then you're going to have to expect that I can't take that out in one treatment. You're going to have to expect to really be dedicated. Really, if it's important to you to get it off, you're going to have to come back a few times. That with your home care regimen, you know, you may, after we get to that level, just maintenance. And maintenance is just you take care of your skin at home. You contact me only when something major happens and you need to get in and see me for something else, say red light therapy, or I don't know, you just want a facial because you want to just kind of boost your home regimen. Again, I'm not in it to get you hooked into staying with me and having a facial every 30 days. That is not what I do. I want to treat that issue for you, get you going on a good regimen, and then hopefully you don't have to see me that much. So that's my specialty. I specialize in caring for your skin and making it look beautiful. So the biggest thing I think people should know about skin care is that it's always changing and evolving, and science is getting better and better. But at that same, as I say that, I also want to warn you to watch out for those fads that you see on Facebook, or on infomercials, or your local Avon representative, people that are trying to sell you something. Always watch out for that, because if it worked, it would not cost $19.95, but wait, we'll make one of those payments. You know, it isn't cheap, but it also isn't, you know, something that isn't achievable, you know, monetarily speaking. Aging is a fact of life. We all do it. Hopefully, if we're lucky enough, we all do it. And there are no miracles out there. When you see these little infomercials where, oh, look at this, in 2 seconds, it's gone. Well, yeah, that's a product that's drying that skin out so much that it's making it tight, and it's going to get flaky and it's damaging your skin. Okay, so you could do those temporary fixes, but in the long run, it's not doing anything for you. And my advice is age gracefully, just embrace it, but also prevent any further damage from the sun and the environment, and you know, all of stress, things like that can be controlled. And your skin, what you eat, drink a lot of water, you know, things like that will do so much more for you than buying the latest fad, coconut oils and charcoals, and let me put these strips on my face and peel off my zits. That also, if you don't know, is peeling off a lot of skin. It's stripping your skin, and you don't want to do things like that to your skin. You want to treat it very gently, but at the same time use ingredients that are aggressive, but in a controlled environment. You know, just use common sense. That's the biggest thing I can say. You don't have to spend a lot, but you do have to, when you get a skin regimen, you have to be faithful to it, and you have to use it or it won't work. The only thing I can say about those products from Walmart is that you're talking about a product being sold for $9.99. You take that home. A product for $9.99 is not going to have that science behind it, that it's going to get into the skin where it needs to go to do the job that it says it does. You're talking about a product that, let's say you buy the latest oil of Olay Regenerist creams. You're going to put those products on, but that's where they're going to stay. They look like they might be absorbing, but they're not. These products don't have that technology. That's why they cost that way. That's why they're mass produced. They're not doing you any favors. They might give you a temporary effect, but it's not long term. And you have to use so much of it to get that little effect that you end up spending more anyway by purchasing products that don't work, because you're doing it so much thinking, oh, it's gonna work. The products I sell are cosmeceutical grade. They have the science behind them. You use a very small amount. They last you at least a year. Not the cleansers, of course, but like the retinols, the serums and the creams will last you a very long time because you're not having to use as much because they are effective. They do have those ingredients that you need. They have technology behind them. They get down into the skin where they need to be to do the job that they say they do. And they really do it. So that's what I can say about that. Proactive is an acne line that once you get into it, you are addicted to this product and your skin is addicted to it. And if you stop using it, you're going to have a major breakout. The best thing to do though is to get off it, have that major breakout, and then get it cleared up with, you know, a real good product line. Proactive is one of those companies where it's cheap to get into, but as you're in it, when you start to replenish, of course, your price is going up and up and up, and you're ended up spending again way more money on that junk than on a good product that will help your skin. I am not a doctor. I am not a dermatologist. I treat the aesthetics of the skin. That means the upper area of the skin. I don't treat any diseases of the skin, say like psoriasis or dermatitis or anything like that. A dermatologist isn't necessary for just skin aesthetics. A dermatologist could be necessary for acne, but again, I have seen patients come to me from a dermatologist when all that failed and they were using those stripping products that they were being given by the dermatologist or sold for many hundreds of dollars, and they've come to me after that still with inflamed skin and still in pain and still depressed, and they've bought the acne kit and they've walked out of here, and in 2 to 3 weeks they have come back and just been like it's a miracle. And that's because I'm not throwing things at you. I'm not getting kickbacks from a medical company or a pharmaceutical company, I should say. I'm just doing what I know works, and I'm looking at your skin and I'm seeing what's going on. 9 times out of 10, the worst thing about the acne is the inflammation. And if we can treat that inflammation, you know, we can get rid of the acne. A lot, you know, genetics have a lot to do with that. Some people, I will be honest with you, can use soap every day of their life and never have to worry about the ingredients. Not all of us are blessed that way. Most people have to use something that has an ingredient that's going to help their skin. Soap can be very stripping. It doesn't, again, doesn't have that science behind it, so you're getting that surface debris off, but you're not getting into the skin. It is a very, it's like a detergent. So I wouldn't recommend soap. Again, there's a very few, little segment of our population that can do that for life and still have beautiful skin, and I envy them. I do have the loyalty program for my clients. Again, you buy 5 products, you either get a free product or a free service. So I choose that, and it's usually around $50. So that's a pretty significant amount of money when you're talking about a product or a service. So that would be a chemical peel, or that would be maybe a sunscreen, you know, something like that. I do offer discounts to loyal clients. That means people that come to me regularly. Of course, I always discount my products 10% for them. Chemical peels are safe. They exfoliate, like I said, the skin safely. The peels I use are advanced Jesner peels, which does not mean anything to you, the layperson, or TCA peels. What these peels do, they work with your skin's biology. And they don't even need neutralizing, but that's not to say they're weak. They're very strong peels. And again, I use a method to where I can gauge exactly what peel you need to use, and I can gauge exactly how many layers of that peel you need. There is a simple process I use at the time of your consultation. that will tell me exactly how to do that. So I have peels for sensitized and sensitive skin, peels for oily skin, peels for normal skin, of course, peels for people with really thick skin, very, you might have, like from being outdoors all their lives and hard, working hard outside, or they're smoking, they have issues like that. And so that has made their skin very hard and thick. So I have peels for that. Pigmentation especially, I use hydroquinone in a peel. And I do even have peels, like if you're allergic to aspirin. I know a lot of people out there have heard, I can't get a peel, I'm allergic to salicylic acid. Well, I have peels that don't have salicylic acid. And so I do have a peel for you. So don't be afraid of a peel, because I start out again on your first peel. If you've never had a peel ever in your life and you're like, I really want to get it, but I'm scared. I use Sensi Peel from PCA. Sensi Peel, I even use on my skin. Still to this day, I'll be like, oh, I want to just get a good exfoliation, so I do a Sensi Peel. Sensi Peel is very good. In fact, a lot of times I advise women who are about to go to a wedding or a formal event, they want to get really dressed up, they want their skin glowing. I say the day before that event, you come to me and get a peel, because your skin doesn't start peeling for 5 days. But those first 3 days after a peel, you look amazing. You look hydrated, your skin is tighter, it's firmer, it's just gorgeous. And you can put makeup on within 15 minutes of having my peels. So I highly recommend, if you've never had a peel, to try it at least, because you'd be very surprised at the result that you'll get. Peeling the skin, again, we're talking about you're taking off just a little bit of the skin. So you've got your skin. And so what we're doing is we're just lifting off a surface, and so this one's going to come off, and then, and so on. And that's actually a good thing, because your skin is renewing itself that way. And like I said earlier, when we're older, like my age, you're talking about every 84 days. When we let our skin build up, dead skin build up on our face, we're looking tired, we're looking dull, we're looking sallow, we're looking grayish, So this dead skin is making our skin look bad. We don't even really realize that it's happening, because you can't see skin when it's coming off your face. But when you get these peels, you're actually doing a very healthy thing for your skin, because you're renewing it all the time. And again, you only need a few, and then you can go a year without them. You don't need to do it every single. I do have people that do it every month, but that's the extreme, and that's what they want, and that's what they feel comfortable with. But again, do your first series, and then you're done. For a long time, you can just not do it. And as long as you're taking care at home and doing a weekly, like, exfoliation of your own, which would be any kind of exfoliant that I sell here, you would not have to have another peel for about a year. Well, State Board of Alabama kind of guides us in the whole bacteriology and sanitizing and everything of all of our equipment, our instruments, our laundry, the surfaces that we touch every day. So what I do is, after a client leaves my office, leaves my treatment room, I gather the laundry. It goes into a bag. I take every implement that I used, and I do use barbicide, and there's you wouldn't even know what this is, but unless you're in the business, ultrasonic cleanser, cavicide, and then I have wipes, the barbicide wipes. And what I do is I put my implements, I hand wash them, I put them in the barbicide and the cavicide, and they sit there. And they are doing their thing while I go about the room and I start wiping down every single surface that I touched and that the client may have touched. From doorknobs to my cabinets to, the candle, the radio, everything that you can think of that was touched by human hands gets a little wiped down. And then, the client, the next client that comes in, that it's been totally you know, the bed has been changed out, the linens are changed. And when I take my laundry to be washed, I use a laundry sanitizer as well as a perfume-free, dye-free, you know, kind of hypoallergenic detergent. And it's the most important thing to me, is to not cross-contaminate one client to another. You know, towels are always changed out. Every time I put a client down, they're laying, you know, their head is on a towel as well as the sheet. So each surface, so whether I'm doing extracting or I'm doing a dermaplaning, anything that can affect the barrier of the skin where infection could come into play, which I've never had anyone have one. You know, I have gloved hands, or I have a mask, you know, the whole thing. So I'm very careful when it comes to that, because that's so important to me. I never get sick. I mean, I might be sick once a year with something, and I pride myself that that's why, because I am constantly, you know, I'll wipe down my cabinet, even if it's just, you know, I opened it to sell a product and shut it. When that client leaves and I'm done for the day, I'm going around and I'm cleaning everything. So you can always be sure that if you come into my room, that you will not have to worry about any kind of cross-contamination at all.